Okay, cool. Welcome to AI Talks episode 8. Today we're going to be talking about the creativity in AI and the impact that it has on creative careers. Super exciting episode today. Thank you so much to our two amazing guests today. We have Jaime and we have Satakshi. Thank you so much, guys, for joining me today.
Most welcome. Happy to be here.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Awesome, awesome. So in the beginning, I'm just gonna go through some little introductions here. I'm gonna go ahead and start. I am still a senior at ASU. I graduated in May, and I am a student for Applied Business and Technology Solutions. I've had my interest in AI since I would say since high school, and I've been learning about AI, and I've been doing some Python coding, and I'm doing so now I'm doing marketing for Gen AI X, and I'm very fortunate to have met Satakshi and Jaime through this company, and yeah, I'll give it to you guys to give just a small little introduction. I'll give it to Jaime.
Yeah. Well, my name is Jaime Aguirre, and I have been in technology for 34 years. I am the head of AI for Gen AIX. Um, I've been studying AI for about 4 years in just various capacities: development, architecture, integration, open source tools, just a whole different set of angles.
Perfect. And then Satakshi, give you an introduction from you.
So I started my journey in machine learning field and I worked as data scientist for 2 years back in India. Then during my masters, I got this chance to explore generative AI field like more deeply. So I worked for Ananda Exchange for creating chatbots and helping the users to educate. So this exposed me to many generative AI tools and technologies, and this experience really sparked my interest. And now I'm working at Gen AI X um, at a consulting role. So I'm helping to provide real world AI solutions that make a real impact across different industries. So,
Perfect.
yeah.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I love this because I love how, there's always different perspectives here. I have my kind of marketing expertise and I have my kind of content creation background where I do use a ton of AI now on my workflow. And I love how we have our different perspectives here on what kind of, AI do we use in whether it's programming, whether it's leading efforts, project management, and that kind of stuff. I think it's great to get different opinions on a central topic, and that topic today is going to be like creative fields. So I'm very excited to get into this, but before we get into this, I do want to do our little segment here. I want to just little, what kind of AI have you used this week? Whether it's ChatGPT, whether something like that. I do want to know, and then I'll get up to Jaime first to kick us off
Yep.
here.
Sure. I've used it in a few ways since our last meeting, actually. One of the ways I've used it, I'll talk about one that's more AI than the other. Maybe that make more sense. One is I did a little video on Google's Teachable Machine recently. The reason it is a very interesting product is because it is going through the motions of setting up a machine learning algorithm. Okay, so the what makes it very interesting is you don't know you're doing it as you're working through this tool. So my use case was I wanted to have an algorithm designed by presenting by using vision. All right, so using visuals to come up with an algorithm, and mind you, you can use, of course, data points, but you can also use like photographs or videos as well as other text. But for my use case, I decided to use pictures. Using Teachable Machine, use the camera to take different angles of a cup. So by taking different angles pictures of a cup, right, from the top, from the side, from the bottom, from the opposite side, it was taking samples through the camera as I went through it, and that simulated different data points. Okay, they weren't data points the way we think of it, but they were photos that were converted into data points. And then what I did is that was my first use case scenario for what I wanted the machine learning algorithm to identify. The second is I wanted to put a bowl, a very simple bowl. Actually, I take that back. It was a cup. It was a much smaller little bottle that I had, and I wanted the model to differentiate between the larger cup that I had, much larger cup, and this very small bottle that was black in size, very relatively small. Anyway, took samples of the smaller bottle, and again, I got the same number of samples, the same number of pictures. Uh, the third step after having taken those samples is to go through processing. So Teachable Machine processed all the different photos of case 1 and case 2, and then moved along to the third process, which is to try to come up with an algorithm that, when presented with a picture of either one, Google's Teachable Machine would be able to tell me with a certain level of certainty whether I was showing it the cup or whether I was showing it the small bottle. All right, so after having performed the algorithm, sure enough, I used my camera and I started taking away everything I had. I put in the bottle and I started spinning it in different angles and different directions, and sure enough, using real-time analytics, it would tell me from that angle what level of certainty the model was in telling me that it was either the cup or the bottle. All right, so anyway, so interplay between both. The learning process of the algorithm was performed already. It already done it. But now to be able to differentiate a live subject has a lot of real life implications like facial recognition, fraud detection, and many other things. Some of them are visual, some of them are not. But in essence, you're training a model from scratch using data points that are either pictures or data, how to recognize and differentiate between the two. So for me, that was one of the most, it's an applicable use case because of how you train the model, but it has so many real life applications that you can think about all of the use cases out there for recognizing images or people or plants. Like you've seen apps that actually tell you what type of plant it is that you have in your house, how to take care of it, what the whole plant structure, and where it comes from, where it was first planted. I mean, amazing amount of information. So anyway, that to me was the most AI related use case that I've used AI for this week.
Awesome, awesome. Were you like changing the angles of it? Were you like changing the lighting and all that stuff for the
I
pictures?
could have. I didn't, but I could have, because
Okay.
remember, as I'm training the model in that scenario, it will be able to see that cup or that bottle from different angles and different lighting.
Right.
And the interesting thing, if you ever do get a chance to look at the video that I made, the interesting thing is from some angles from which I didn't have data points, the model is actually confused.
Okay.
So there was an angle, actually I think this is what I used for my prop for the video, but from looking from this angle, it wasn't actually able to tell that this wasn't a cup.
Okay.
Because it resembled a cup in some ways, from this angle and whatever, and I didn't take as many data points. So you could see the prediction from that angle go down significantly. It was like confused and going back and forth between cup and small bottle. Again, going back to the training of the data, had I done more, had I changed the lighting, had I changed even the distance, right, it would have been a lot more accurate. But it just goes to show you in machine learning algorithms how critical the data really is to making sure that the model is accurate, and introducing more data points to lead it to give you the solution is very, very important. So suffice it to say, that's my application for the week.
Perfect. I love that. I mean, as we go in the future, that's going to evolve to just new heights. I feel like that's going to be like such a more of a seamless process in the future, and I'm really excited to see how that goes. But
And
yeah.
the interesting, just one last thing, that what made that process interesting is I think the last piece that I didn't talk about much in the video, but that is having trained that algorithm, it actually produces a file. It produces a file that is portable, and I could very easily have sent that file, now that it's learned how to make that identification, I could have sent that file to anyone in the world for them to have used the same two objects, and without training it the way I did, to have determined which of the two objects it was. And now this is very simplistic that I only used two objects. But imagine if I had used 1,000 objects. Imagine if I had used 10,000 objects and given you a model for you from your desktop to be able to differentiate between these thousands and thousands of models. So that's where it becomes powerful.
The fact that Google allows you to do that is insane. Yeah,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
that's great. That's great. Yeah, I can go next here. I wanted to say, well, this week mostly, as I was creating my content, I definitely was using CapCut a lot, and there's this great feature within CapCut where you can basically just you can just input a large form video, whether it's 30 minutes, 40 minutes, and just press one button, and then it'll make 10 to 13 TikTok videos for you. It'll go through the
Oh,
video, it'll it'll basically find a talking point, it'll tell you what that is, it'll give you a title and a description, and it'll edit it out for you. So if I put this file in for this podcast, it'll edit out my face, Satakshi's face, Jaime's face, and it would also edit out, like, if I have something to show, it would edit like my screen out too. It's incredible. And I would say it takes about like 9 to 10 minutes. So like it's incredible. I mean, are the videos like exact? Like I don't usually take the video right from when it's given to me and then post that. I definitely look through it and say, okay,
Yeah.
this is kind of cut weird, or this, because there are certain parts that are not right,
Right.
obviously. But just the fact that that much time is saved for me, where I can, I mean, I obviously, I usually go through it and try to find good stuff to post, but now I can just kind of, look through the stuff that the AI has taken, and it's usually the same topics that I take from it as well. After my, kind of looking through it and seeing what's good, it takes the same kind of thing and it'll put that into an immediate, like, short form video. So I think that just goes to show how incredible AI can be, and it really is up to us to make that creative jump, because now all the resources that we have to create this kind of content, it's all there for everybody now. I mean, this is all free, right? So the creativity, definitely, is still up to us. But yeah,
Agreed.
I'm gonna give it up to Satakshi for
so like I used a lightweight open source LLM model from Hugging Face library for business generation app that we are currently working on at Jaime X. So this basically was used to incorporate user inputs to find like most similar business type for similarity search, whatever like user inputs in, so we can handle the spelling glitches and everything through it. And like at my personal end, I went ahead with the Ghibli trend and created some cute animated pictures of me with my friends and family who are like living afar. So yeah.
perfect. So how long did that take you to create those pictures?
So the first time when I tried it, it took about 1 minute for me to generate whole picture.
Right.
But like once I did that, after that it was getting generated pretty fast. Like not within seconds, of course, but
Yeah.
yeah, like 40 to 45 seconds, a picture was getting generated. So
That's
that
incredible.
was
No, yeah, I
great.
think. Do you think that the model learns as you input? Is it, because I think that is true, right? Like, as you input your preference, it kind of learns from that.
Yeah, yeah, it does. So, like for the first output generated, I put it some things like use a cap here or remove the background, something like that. And
Okay,
for the later on images, it automatically removed the background for that. So, yeah, it was learning as we
that's
go.
incredible. It just knows what you wanted from the past prompts. That's pretty great. That's
Yeah.
pretty great. I know. So I actually did. So that actually segues perfectly to what I wanted to show. So for this podcast, I did create a little something on ChatGPT. Okay, so here it is. I literally just put in create image of an eye-catching thumbnail for an AI podcast called AI Talks, where we'll be talking about creativity and AI. And here we go. I think this is. I mean, we obviously couldn't do this in the past, but I do believe like this just like not only gives me like a kind of template to go off of if I did want to kind of go more into it and see what I can add to it, but it does give me like a good idea of what I could be doing for this, like what kind of a thumbnail I could be creating. So yeah, what do you guys think about this? You think we're gonna use this thumbnail?
I know.
I love the honesty. I love the honesty. No, yeah.
No,
So
I like, so okay, so I break this up when I analyze it into multiple things, right? So of course I like the ability for it to create a picture in the first place. You have to appreciate that to begin with based on a prompt.
right,
Prompt only, image is only going to be as good as a prompt. All right, that's
right,
kind of the prompt engineering discipline that we hear very much about. You could paint, by the way, your wallpaper. You could paint that. You could do that entire wallpaper if you have the right prompt in place and you
right,
describe it clearly enough and sufficient enough to replicate your exact photo.
right.
But in terms of like this specific photo, I don't think it's very creative. So that's why I hesitated to praise it too much. I think it mixes in two elements that we see are very common, right? The robot and then the microphone. I think those elements are common. I was expecting it to infuse a little creativity into the picture, which I kind of don't see that, but maybe it made a decision that in order for it to talk about creativity, it didn't need to be creative, but that's an internal decision that the model made. So, I'd give this maybe a 6 out of 10.
Okay. I love that. I love that. Let's hold the ratings here. I'm gonna also give it a 5 out of 10.
There
I
you
think I'm
go.
right around there too.
Yeah.
I mean, like I was saying before, it's a good kind of okay. It gets you started, right?
Right. Right.
It's not gonna be any kind of an end product, but
That's
it
right.
definitely gets you started on thinking, okay, this could be cool. This font could be cool. This kind of area would be cool.
Yeah.
I think this definitely takes out that first step for a lot of people. Um,
Yeah, it's a
so
good
so
first
yeah,
step. That's a way to look at it. But so you can look at it two ways, right? You want a starting point. You want
right,
a starting point to be able to maybe guide you in one direction. Because what prevented you from using your own creativity to come up with, I won't say something similar, but put two pictures together and just put your title on it. You would have come up with the same thing or close to what they came up with. So in that regard, I don't see it as being overly creative. But if you didn't think of it in those terms, I could see this being, like you said, a good starting point. Maybe I
yeah,
want to change the microphone into a different type of icon, or maybe the light bulb is kind of interesting, and
yeah.
the colors around it are sort of interesting. But again, it's not going to blow many people away, right? So there's limited creativity from my perspective. And mind you, right, this week I have a bit of a grudge against ChatGPT, mind you.
Oh,
Uh,
really? Okay.
let me tell you about that grudge against ChatGPT. I had a grudge against it because I was working on doing some prompting of it, and it kept giving me. I wanted it to create a slide for me, and it does an okay job creating slides, but it kept giving me the same content for the slide I was looking for.
Okay.
It didn't change it. It confirmed with me 10 different times that I wanted to change the content. It said, "Oh, I did it. I realized now what you want, and I'm going to do it." And guess what?
Mm-hmm.
It gave me the same slide back. I
Really?
said, "You're wrong." I said, "You're very wrong. You did not actually
How
change
could
it.
you?
You gave me the same content back." "Oh, I apologize." The response back. "I will make it right this time." It came back the same exact slide. So anyway,
Really?
that's my grudge with ChatGPT this week. So if I don't like its content, you'll know why.
Oh, there's some beef. There's some
Yeah,
beef.
there's a growing beef there.
Oh my gosh. That's great to bring that up because I feel like people really take that for people really take type of ChatGPT as the end all know all. That's it.
Bingo.
Like it'll just
Bingo.
do it. Like you
No,
think, okay, I have a presentation. I'm obviously just gonna use ChatGPT. No, that's not the case. There, it could definitely be wrong. It could definitely go wrong in the time that you use it. And I think
right.
definitely like stick to what you know as well. I think human creativity definitely goes first. AI is only to enhance.
That's the
But
lesson, I think, right? That's the lesson that I think we're getting out of all of the research and studies coming out is it can aid creativity, but so far it hasn't truly replaced the creative element from human beings. Like, for example, even in your CapCut example you want, and I'm going to do it, and guess what?
hmm
It gave me the same slide back. I
really,
said, "You're wrong." I said, "You're very wrong. You did not actually
how
change
could
anything.
you?
You gave me the same content back." "Oh, I apologize." The response back. "I will make it right this time." It came back the same exact slide. So anyway,
Really?
that's my grudge with ChatGPT this week. So if I don't like its content, you'll know why.
Oh, there's some beef. There's some
Yeah,
hatred.
there's a growing beef there.
Oh my gosh. That's great to bring that up because I feel like people really take that for people really take ChatGPT as the end all know all. That's
Bingo,
it. Like it'll just
bingo.
do it. Like you
No,
think, okay, I have a presentation. I'm obviously just gonna use ChatGPT. No, that's not the case. There, it could definitely be wrong. It could definitely go wrong in the time that you use it, and I think
right.
definitely like stick to what you know as well. I think human creativity definitely goes first. AI is only to enhance.
That's the
But
lesson, I think, right? That's the lesson that I think we're getting out of all of the research and studies coming out is it can aid creativity, but so far it hasn't truly replaced the creative element from human beings. Like, for example, even in your CapCut example or exercise,
right.
you still need to go in there because, Keshav, if you post some of the videos generated automatically, you're likely to put some content out there that isn't going to meet your standards.
Right.
And
Yeah.
therefore, that human element has to remain in there.
Definitely, definitely. The cuts that do come from that initial AI is very kind of, it doesn't understand any kind of emotion. It doesn't understand the
Right.
audience that I'm trying to appeal to. It
Yeah.
doesn't understand like how I'm trying to catch them with a thumbnail. So I go in there, I make my own thumbnails, I make my own content, and then I try to, if an AI does get it right, like because they give me 10 videos, right? They'll
Hmm.
get it. It'll get it right probably once, like one or two of them, and I'm like, oh, this is actually a good point that I did want to bring up. So I'll kind of use that to save time. But yeah, I think that's the kind of the point that we're at.
Yeah, like it sometimes feels like let me create my own flowchart or my own presentation because I'm giving in so many prompts and it's just
Hmm.
not coming out how I really want it to be.
Yeah.
So yeah, sometimes I feel like okay, I'll do this part on my own. You just provide me like curated content.
Right.
Yes, I agree. I agree. Okay, perfect. So let's get right into some creative kind of news that's been going on. I don't know if you guys have heard of like basically the Oscars and kind of film creative careers are have been at a very big kind of disruption because of this whole AI revolution and there, believe it or not, that there was a strike 2 years ago. A lot of the writers were on a strike because they wanted AI out. They don't want AI. They believe that it's going to take their job 100%. And now, I mean, I don't know if you guys have seen the Oscars lately, but we know that Adrian Brody won the Oscar
Hmm.
for the best male actor, and in his film there was AI. He used AI to basically fabricate his accent. And there's obviously backlash that comes with this. There's obviously a lot of
Yeah.
feelings and thoughts from a lot of people and opinions. I do want to get your guys' opinions on this. I want to start with Jaime first. What do you think about that?
Yeah. As far as the strike, you mean, or just in general, the resistance to it?
Yeah, the kind of resistance to it. Where do you think it's gonna go? I mean, with the resistance, we still saw this. We still there's no stopping it. So
Right.
where do you think it's gonna go?
Well, it's very reminiscent of what you're seeing across all the other industries, right? Because the initial push to have AI included, you think about music, and there's other industries. I don't want to get off in a tangent, but it's very, very reminiscent of what's happening of other industries where people talk about introducing AI. They don't really tell you how exactly they're going to use it, but yet just the mere thought or the mere mention that you're introducing AI, suddenly, you want to, you wanted them, you think it's going to limit either your career or what you do in your job, and therefore you're afraid of it. And many
Right.
people are going to be afraid of job displacement. Completely understandable, right? But if you segue this into like the discussions that we've been having about CapCut and the research going on, for augmentation and enhancement of content, it is going to help. We're seeing how much time you save. We're seeing how much, maybe, what's his name, the actor you just mentioned, Alan Brody,
Adrian
uh,
Brody.
Adrian
Yeah.
Brody. Thank you. You mentioned him, but in terms of his accent, whether or not he would have been able to develop that accent, or maybe he would have worked on something different, right? It saved him time. It brought maybe more quality to the accent itself, so it was able to enhance his performance within that film. So in terms of the strike itself, yes, it is what you're hearing across the globe of people being afraid of AI being introduced because of that fear, the fear that it's going to take over. And now you and I have covered this in other podcasts as well, the fear of taking over and whether or not it's realistic or not. right? That could be a separate other podcast, but we know where it does shine is in enhancing. Where it does shine is in being able to provide initial points of creativity and sometimes to develop it a bit. We haven't
Yep.
seen it yet replace. So I think here we are 2 years later. You have seen more introduction of AI in films, in sound, and many other industries. So there hasn't been like a complete decimation of the industry, as maybe could have been painted very early on. So anyway, you are seeing the convergence of the AI technology and AI capabilities with the film industry for one, and you're seeing what's happening, which is very likely and is predicted to happen to the other industries.
Right. Completely agree. It's not just one industry that's getting taken over. It really is all of them. And yeah, I wanted to give it to Satakshi. I know you have some thoughts about that.
So I kind of saw it coming because, like the strikes and everything, because earlier we had tools like Adobe Photoshop or Premiere Pro for like video creation or photo editing and whatsoever. So these were just the tools that were letting us to create our art. But now AI is creating that art for us. For example, we have DALI or like Runway ML. So there's this big difference that there's a fear that the people might get replaced, kind of, or the fear that the people will get misinterpreted. So yeah, this really shows how deeply generative AI is like reshaping the creative world.
That's a
Right.
great
So
That's a great
Right.
point.
Definitely.
The tools that we've had available prior to AI, the Photoshop tools, the Illustrator tools, anything that enhanced or augmented existing images, for example, or in many ways created images, right? Because what is the name of that movie that was created? That took 7 years to create. I'm trying to think of the name. Avatar, right? Was it Avatar?
Avatar.
yeah,
Yeah, I think
yeah.
it
All
was.
right.
I
Yeah.
think it was like, yeah,
This
seven
is
years, something like that.
pre.
Yeah.
It took about 7 years to create. It was pre-AI, most of it, and the end results are mind-blowing. If you look at the just the graphics of that movie, it's incredible work that they've done on it. Pre-AI, using tools that were available, right, publicly available,
Right.
and that augmented and enhanced the end product and made it. I think it also won Movie of the Year. But there were no strikes and there were no complaints about that because it wasn't using AI. And so now the fear of
Yeah.
artificial intelligence, or AI as a technology, I should say, is bringing a lot of that fear. But mind you, we had similar fears when other technologies came into the picture.
Yeah.
When we had the internet, people were fearful about what was going to happen with the introduction of e-commerce. With the brick and mortar stores, there was a tremendous fear about us no longer going to malls or small businesses going out of business. And we saw that there was a fine balance reached between the two, where we went to stores that were brick and mortar stores for things that we needed maybe right away, but we went online. We could wait a day or two for our product to arrive. So very similarly, the market is sort of adjusting to the behaviors that we're seeing being introduced across the board.
Yes, I definitely agree. I think especially creatively, I think there's well, when the internet came out, when all these other booms did come, I think the main things that were being affected weren't like works of art. When it comes to works of art like films and music and poetry, I think those things are such a there's such a human bias in those creations, and I do understand where people come from when they say, okay, like this is how can this be created like that, and I did want to bring that with this with you, Satoshi. I know that you've heard about the Studio Ghibli, the controversy that's going on right now. There's a huge market, or there's a huge production company called Studio Ghibli. They make amazing movies and they make amazing animations, and it takes so much time and effort to make these animations and to make them look so nice, so beautiful, right? And now I think recently, it's been through ChatGPT's new image generator that you can now create those images like pretty much in seconds. And the maker of Studio Ghibli, I do actually want to pull this up to
Yeah,
talk about
he
this,
was
but
disappointed.
he was extremely disappointed. Yeah, there's a huge controversy going around, and you're seeing all this backlash from people that are using the AI to create that. And I do want to bring that up. And I want to get your thoughts, Sakshi, on that. What are your thoughts about that?
I just read an article about that, and there was this mini clip going on. So it was a train scenario where everybody was rushing in and out, and it took about several months to create that video of particular seconds. Like it was just some seconds video. But now GPT can do that within seconds. Like a whole movie could be created on basis of generative AI things. So yeah, this is frightening for the people who are actually creating that art. But again, I believe that we have to put in the prompts like what we actually want from it. There has to be some person deciding the flow. Otherwise,
Right.
it's not going to decide on its own how to generate, what to generate. There won't be any feelings into that particular thing. So yeah, I believe even if we are going to automate these things, there need to be people, there have to be people who are exactly prompting that okay, we want it like this, not like that.
Hmm.
And for that we all need to learn into the basics of thing whatever we are doing. For example, if there is a singer, so he need to understand the notes and everything, then only they can use AI to augment their
Yes.
pitches and whatever. So yeah. And one more concern there was, I also read this thing that if we prompt GPT that okay, write this document for me or email for me, so it generates on minimal power. But if we are talking about generating images and videos, then it's taking lot of fresh water for the GPUs and everything and the environment. So yeah. And I also read this. I'm not sure if this is true or not, that the GPUs were melting because of high
Yes.
generation of images, and everybody was going through that. So
Yeah.
yeah, there are environmental concerns as well.
Yes.
So
Yes.
yeah, we definitely need to look into all the aspects and then create some boundaries between, especially in the field of creativity.
Yes, that's a great point you brought up. I was actually going to bring up an article about that, and I did so just like you said, there's going to be like fresh water. There's all these resources that are being used, especially for the image generation, that it takes so much time, and everybody wants their Studio Ghibli picture of their family at Disneyland, but it can't happen, right? It's got to be there's got to be some kind of like um background checks. There's got to be some kind of withdrawal from that, and I do anticipate in the future there are going to be more paid plans either on ChatGPT or something like that to use these kind of processes for image generation for the processes that do take a lot more memory and do take more GPUs and things of that nature. But yeah, Jaime, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, the reason that's interesting is because what you're seeing is a division or a subdivision of the processing that these models are doing. So, in most scenarios, and even in the cases that I mentioned, I'm using the generic ChatGPT Pro model to come up with my answers, but it's almost like asking somebody, what do you think of this, whatever that is? And then you say to them, okay, now you gave me your answer. No, what do you really think about it? You ask them again, and they give you another answer. And then you ask them again. You say, well, what if you were a PhD student? What answer would you give me? So, the way that you probe at these models, it's going to give you a different answer each and every time. Because the direction that the models are headed is to give you, on the one hand, they want to reach average general intelligence, AGI. On the other hand, the direction that we're seeing the models go in, and this kind of touches on the whole creativity processing all as well, is the way they're heading is they're going to give you deeper thought type options for processing your prompt because they realize they are prioritizing speed versus quality in the low, I won't call them lower tiers because they're not really low at all, but in the most basic, let's say, scenarios, is that's what they're doing. But then you can ultimately land in a PhD level research to give you content that a PhD level student would generate it. And mind you, this is just kind of a side note. They are coming up with those models which are now being priced somewhat in the $20,000 a month type of price range, which ironically enough is it becomes more ironic when presented to a PhD student who says, "Well, I'm a human and I'm a PhD student and I don't make $20,000 a month, so you could ask me for a lot less. It seems you asked me about it for
Yeah.
$20,000." So anyway, I wanted to tie this in just because the direction of the processing in these models is headed into deeper thought, more and more advanced processing levels. Again, higher tiers, different payment structures. But the type of processing we're seeing that's required for imaging is just so and so advanced. There really isn't like a low level processing for that amount of creativity. It's either all or nothing. You either get the award level type processing, or you get nothing. Right? It will come back to you and say having communication problems or whatever. So it's an all or nothing for some of this processing. For others, it's not.
That's a great point. I've never thought about that, but that does make sense because when you do prompt an AI, if it doesn't give you what you want, then no one's going to use it. And that's a great point because it gives you exactly what you want. It's such a big ask for a product such as ChatGPT to basically you put whatever you want in your mind into it and it just gives it to you. That's incredible. But
Yeah,
yeah,
but then you
that
think that that's it, right? Then most people, including myself many times, I think that that's it, and it isn't it. You could
no.
absolutely challenge it, and you could absolutely say, think about it more, or you could absolutely switch models and say, okay, now take me into this other PhD level subscription or that mode, so that you can give me a different, better answer, more complete. And I'd be curious to know, why didn't you give me that answer in the first place? Why did I have to go through multiple layers of question in order to get at that solution?
Yes, prompting is there's definitely like a science to it. There's definitely an art to it.
Yeah, yeah,
There's so much that goes into it that nobody really realizes that there's perspectives that you can give the AI to then understand that perspective and then give you an
right.
answer. There's so many different ways to incorporate that, and that's gonna be a career in the future, 100%. We're gonna see prompt engineer on LinkedIn, 100. I
From
guarantee
my
that.
understanding,
There
Ketan, it
are.
already is.
It
From
Yeah.
my
already is.
understanding, you can already go out there as of, I want to say, maybe 9 to 12 months ago, and you see job posts for prompt engineers already out there.
Incredible.
One of my friend was actually working as a prompt
There you
engineer
go.
Oh,
in
really?
his internship, yeah, and his task was to like get the outputs, but through the proper prompts. So he has to design, like there are various types of prompts, so like one shot learning, few shot learning, and
Hmm.
whatever these things are. So his whole tasks were aligned with that.
Okay, perfect. So I do want to bring up this. So what's going on here from this article? I believe this is in January 2023. So this is a couple years ago, pretty recently. But this is a case where Getty Images is a company that kind of specializes in putting their images on the web, and they do have a copyright for that. But there is a company called Stability that has went out there and scraped millions of images from various websites that are operated by Getty without their consent. And I do want to bring that up because this is kind of like a new age problem. We've never had to deal with this kind of issue before, where people are kind of taking images off the web and making their own, well, feeding them into AI models, and then these AI models are now predicting and using images that are not theirs, right? So I do want to kind of get into like copyright claims and going into that. Um, who is in the right here? Who is in the wrong here? I mean, do we blame the AI model or the people that create the model that need the pictures? Or should pictures always be accessible? What do you think about that, Jaime?
Well, there is precedence for this also, in that long before AI existed, we've had this issue in music. If you think about music, and even movies, right? You go further back to movies, that we'll focus on the music first. That
Yep.
you could essentially write a new song, but many people throughout, I don't know, from maybe from recorded history or recorded from the time we've been able to record music, have liked other people's music and sometimes want to create the songs in a similar way, but they have been prevented from literally copying somebody else's song into theirs. So, for example, I can't take the chorus of an existing song and make it the chorus for mine with exactly the same words. I can't use the lead guitar in somebody else's song and make it part of my song because their content is theirs. They created it. It's their creative um, process that made that product, and therefore, this has the precedence for AI now with images is very similar to I'm saying what happened in music, and that was resolved through number one, they were told, well, you can use similar instrumentation in a new song, but it can't be the same. So you have to change every other note, if I remember correctly, is the way that the legal system looked at the intellectual property that musician had over their songs. But then the second way around it was a new person wanting to use, let's say, a similar way of either singing or playing or a melody or a chorus. They would just change it just enough so that it was a different product. Okay, so that's a similar process to what you're seeing with images, where um, whereas creating a new image can look like somebody else's, it can't be the same thing.
Yeah.
Also, the New Age model or the New Age problem that you described, yes, we have not had a problem where a model that is responsible for, let's say, getting customers, generating revenue, and trying to create new content can be trained off other people's content and then create its own and charge you for it. So presumably enough, the people who own these other products, these images or these songs, they have a right to copyright their songs, their movies, all of the content, their photos. They have every right to do that. And I think because of that, you asked who is in the right, who's in the wrong. Well, I just think that when it comes to having ownership of anything, even your own likeness, even your own name, even your data points, your social security number, your address, your phone number, you have a right to opt out of those, of being given marketing materials or maybe somebody using your image for some public commercial that you're not aware of. I mean, you have rights to the content that you own. And for that reason, I do see this as being more of an issue where the owners deserve to have a say. They deserve to have
Yep.
to opt out or to be included, whether the models are used to train based on their data or not. It just seems a little bit sort of a free for all if we decide that we're going to train on everybody's content. Let's say everyone's source code, everyone's likeness, everyone's creative output. It's all free for all, and they have no say. But I can essentially make a better product by using their experience, their resources that they've harnessed, and I can make a better product. But I'm not going to give them any royalties when I sell my product, right? So it doesn't seem ethical to have to do it that way.
So actually, I did this assignment. So we were asked to create a song. We don't have to write the lyrics. In fact, everything should be AI generated. So what we did was, we just chose a theme. We prompted GPT that okay, give us lyrics about this particular topic. Now we took those lyrics and put it them into AI solution, which is Suno.ai. So what it does is it takes our lyrics, it asks us what kind of song do you want, like hip hop or jazz, what kind of track do you want, what kind of voice texture do you want in that,
Oh,
and
really?
then yeah, and then it generates a whole song for us. Now we don't know what parameters it is being trained on,
Hmm.
whose voices it has been trained on. So this and also the article that you just shared. So this made me wonder that yeah, if artist doesn't want their work to be used, then that should be respected, and consent should be part of this training process. So yeah, and if they are allowing us, so we can give them some royalties or something like that, and then use their work because yeah, this is something not ethical, and yeah, like there should be clear boundaries and everyone should respect that.
Totally, yeah, I totally agree. I think, well, we don't even know where that's coming from. I feel like there should be more kind of clarity in any new AI model that comes out there. There should be some kind of documentation that says, okay, we grab this from here and this from here, this voice from here, this voice from here. Here's our consent. Here's our letters of whatever we had, signatures and all that. That's gonna be like something of the future. And I love that we talked about artists and their royalties because I have another example for us here. So this is Grimes. I don't know if anybody knows Grimes. I really don't know Grimes myself. Sorry to all the Grimes fans out there, but I really I think this particular example is very super exciting to me because so there's this thing called the Grimes AI voice print, and this is all okayed by Grimes the artist. She has said that um, artists of and fans of Grimes can legally create and have songs professionally distributed using an AI produced version of the artist's voice, which is incredible. She says she's basically saying, okay, look, y'all, if you listen to my songs, you can have my voice and make songs. I have to okay it,
Yeah.
but anybody who is a fan of me can go out there and go on this website, use my voice, create a song with my voice, and then send it to me. If I like it, then you guys can make money off it. I feel like that's such a 2025 like 2020s
Right.
kind of ish. Like this could have never been done in the past. This is incredible that it's happening now. And here we go. So I wanted to show this right here. There is a 50% royalty split if she
Okay.
approves the collaboration.
Okay. Fair enough.
And I think 50% is fair. No, exactly like Jaime said, it's a software called Elf.tech, and it produces music using generative AI music. So I think this is just next level stuff. So I do want to get thoughts about. So Jaime, what do you think about this?
Well, it's lining up with what we were talking about before, where the
Right.
artist does, in fact, benefit from any new content that is being generated based on their likeness or their voice or their tone of their voice or the way they want the content to be presented. It also gives her the right to turn something down and to say, no, I don't want to be maybe singing this type of music or saying such words in the song because that could be done also. So it gives her the ultimate right to still guard her image and not maybe fall under a trap where that voice is out of her hands and she no longer has a say, and it allows her to benefit from that. But if you were to do this on a greater scale, I don't know how that would work. It would just be a difficult task to try to manage this at a greater scale from like every singer you have out there.
Yeah.
I think that we should label whether it is AI generated thing or whom we have referred to. For example, what we do in our research papers, that we provide references to whoever person we have referred to and the researches. So similarly, in context of creativity, there should be something like, okay, so this particular song or this particular image has been referred to this original art piece, and in that manner at least, if royalties are not possible, because if we are talking on a large scale, then tracking down who is using your product is very difficult in this time.
Right.
So at least if everybody puts label on it, then an artist would get its fair share, I guess.
That's a great point.
Yes.
We've had this long-standing tradition of giving people credit for their work. So if it's a derivative of a product such as this, it would be a derivative of it. Again, through music, if you use somebody's music in a movie, what do? You have to give credit at the end, right? If you use if you use documentation from some reference point in a PowerPoint presentation or research paper, you have to give credit also. So it follows with the legal way that this has been handled traditionally, that if it's a derivative product, you have to give that credit.
Definitely, I agree. When I was in school, I was taught to always put a works cited page after
Right.
any essays that I wrote.
Yeah.
And if I didn't include that, I would get a zero. So I think
Yeah.
this applies. This applies to right now. And that no, it's just great that we brought that up. And I do want to bring one more thing up. This is a very interesting situation here. This is basically what you're looking at right now. I'm going to share my screen. This is a submission to an art photography competition. And this person submitted this photo, won the competition, but it is entirely created with AI. So what he did was he then withdrawed his picture. So he withdrawn like he withdraw like the wins and everything.
He
But
turned down the
this
prize, I remember, right?
yes, the
Yeah.
prize.
Yeah.
This is the Sony World Photography Awards,
Mm.
and they announced so this guy put in this picture completely generated by AI and won. So I think like that's like how do you know if it's AI? I feel like if you're a Sony photographer, if you're even holding an award show for photography, there has to be more checks now. This can't. I mean, this obviously can't happen, but it's incredible that it can. Um,
Yes.
and well, yeah, I just thought it was super interesting. Like this picture looks so real.
You can
Like,
argue, Keshav, that the person who should have gotten the award is the person that came up with the prompt to generate this picture,
oh,
because
Yeah.
that to come up with this kind of picture would have taken a considerable amount of effort just to get
okay,
every aspect that you see on the photo. It would take a while. It would take a very long time, very clear wording, as far as the lighting. If you see some of the scratches, even on the film itself,
yes.
the posing and the direction of the faces and the bodies, the lady in the back looking down. There's a lot of elements here that would have to be described in the right format in order to come up with this picture. So I would argue the person coming up with the prompt should have also gotten an award.
That is a great point because that also goes back to me making my thumbnail for the video. That was horrible. That that was like a mic and a thing and a little AI robot on
Yeah,
the side. I
yeah,
definitely agree. If I would have sat there yesterday and for probably like 30 minutes, 1 hour, I sat there prompted that AI like
yes.
I want this and this angle and this. I do agree something as intricate as this picture
Hmm.
can be made, and you know I definitely agree. Award maybe pushing it for. I mean, I
So
mean, I, but there definitely can be like it's just incredible how you can prompt something that much. Like you can prompt the AI that much, and it'll create something like this.
And you know what's
Um,
interesting as well is you can actually take this very picture and reverse engineering, meaning you can feed it into a model and tell the model, create a prompt for me to regenerate this picture. So you can actually play around with that and to come up with the prompt it gives you. And of course, you know, you're gonna have to go through multiple iterations, but just the process to get us to the picture, we can reverse that by getting to the actual prompt that did generate it.
Reverse engineering, I love it.
Right.
I mean, hold on, if I can just do this real quick. Okay, wait, downloads, picture, chat GPT. Then we can go ahead and upload, generate a prompt that used to create this. Would you say generate a prompt that created this picture?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
To create
would have created this picture.
create. Yeah.
Oh,
That's all right. I don't know what you mean. There it is.
a surreal vintage style double exposure portrait of two women, one in the foreground looking calmly into the distance, the other hauntingly close behind her, whispering or lurking. Like this is literally a poem.
It is. So
That's
now
crazy.
take the prompt it just gave you, feed it back in, and see what you come up with.
Okay.
And tell it,
Okay.
generate a picture using this prompt, right?
Okay.
So now we've come full circle once you get there.
Now we've come full circle. Generate an image with this. Okay, it's gonna take a while, but yes, I think this. So this right here is something to take away from this. This is what's needed. It's see how many adjectives there are. See how many for the
Right.
prompt engineers out there. This is a surreal vintage style double exposure portrait. Like it's super intricate and specific,
Yeah. Very
and
detailed.
that's just super interesting.
And mind you,
Um,
you don't know what model was used to generate that. So that prompt would most likely be different if you're
right.
using Claude, if you're using Gemini or Copilot. That prompt's going to be different. So depending on what model they use to generate that photo, you're going to get a different outcome because the words are going to be interpreted differently.
Right.
But I believe the real photographers, like who are not using generative, like who are not using AI, might be offended by these kind of practices because their real work has been compared by AI work. So that might cause an issue. I think in future there would be different categories like AI generated things and the real
Yeah.
things, real art.
We have to
There,
see how
no.
what it generates, Keshav.
Yes, no, it's generating. I'm looking at it right now. It looks insane, but I will show you guys in a second.
Okay.
No, it's actually insane. But yeah, I do want to ask one final question, and this is just like what impacts do you think creativity is going to take in the future, and where do you think we're going to go? Like, do you think that there is going to be a time where we're going to basically not even try to use our creative skills because AI can do it, or do you think that as we go into the future, how are ethics going to change? How are we going to how is our mindset gonna change?
I think that the way you're seeing it integrated into the process right now is going to get even better. We'll say because to spur creativity from the very beginning, to give you a starting point, let's say, whether you're writing a poem, whether you're writing a book, whether you're editing a video, right? It can give you, for example, the different variations of the CapCut output. It can give you that. It doesn't know the quality of that. So someone has to look at that, at the individual videos and make an assessment whether or not it works. Because if some of the quality of that output isn't good in the first place, why is it giving it? The
Yeah,
point is, it doesn't know. It doesn't know. It's generating outcome that it thinks you're going to like or that's going to be acceptable. But ultimately, you have to be the decision maker behind that. So what's going to happen is, back to the question. One is the initial pointing of creativity. Where do I start? But the second part, I think, is going to be even bigger, and that's how do I augment my product? How do I enhance it? How do I make it better? How do I make the movie seem more realistic? How do I make uh, things that are not even imaginable? I think in the last podcast we talked a little bit about the de-aging process in movies.
yeah,
How would you have done that before? You would have used, masks, and you would have used all kinds of makeup, and now you no longer have to do that. It doesn't mean we don't need makeup artists. It just means now you have a different way of presenting a character through their age progression, or earlier and later, and so on and so forth. So you're going to continue, I think, to see those types of influences, whether it's music, movie, text, or anything else, audio as well. You're going to continue to see the augmentation and the enhancements of product. 9 times out of 10 times, I don't think you're even going to know that it's there unless it's disclosed, unless we start passing some laws that say if you use any AI at all, you have to ensure that either you do a watermark, like that photo.
yep,
Without a watermark, you never would have known. But that's one of the proposals for photographs, by the way. It's whether it's video or whether it's photo, if AI was used in any way, it's got to be watermarked as such, so to indicate and differentiate it from the hardworking photographers, like she said earlier, who
yep.
are putting in time. They rent studios, they have equipment, they have film, they have processing fees, right? There's a whole lot of other things they do that AI folks don't have to worry about. So that distinction and differentiation, I think, is going to continue playing out. But again, back to the question, I think the starting point of creativity, that's already there, and that's going to continue regardless of the type of industry we're talking about. But secondly, you're going to see more and more ways of enhancing and improving content that just wasn't possible before.
Right, perfect. And then, Satashi, could I get your thoughts on that as well?
Yeah, so like art signifies our human emotions, and of course, like AI cannot replicate emotions, at least for now, it cannot. So I believe that, yeah, it would be a smart assistant that could help artists or everyone to think bigger, faster, and like more creatively. But human spark will like still lead to the way, like co-pilots and competitors would be there. Like we can use AI to augment our art and use it in a better way, but there is a thin line between duplicating someone's work and infringing it. So yeah, there have to be some regulations and ethics to be maintained over here. So
Yes, I completely agree. I think we're all at an understanding that as we go in the future, I mean, we can hope that copywriting techniques and ethics techniques go as, or I guess evolve as quickly as AI is evolving. I mean, AI is evolving faster than anything right now, and we need to involve our thinking on ethics and copywriting as we do move in in the future. So I think that's definitely a huge thing to think about. But yeah, I think that about sums it up today. Thank you both so much
Okay,
for our
thank you.
conversation. Actually, hold on, we're not done yet. I need to show the image
Yes, I see
that
it.
ChatGPT created. I need to show
All right.
this real quick.
Keep
So
it
look
till
at
the
this.
very end.
Boom.
Disclosure.
This is it. So
Oh,
let me go
Wow,
first.
oh,
This is
wow.
this is first. This is first right here.
Yeah.
This is the AI.
this is
That's not
insane.
bad. That's not bad at all. I'm impressed.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, look. Let me go ahead and save that, and then I'm gonna submit it to Sony Pictures. Actually, I'm gonna see when they have their next award show.
Yeah, do
This
that.
is incredible. This might actually look better than
Yeah.
actually.
Well, the second one looks more AI generated actually. Theirs looks a little bit more natural.
Yeah.
We
Look at
have to,
the.
yeah. We
Hmm.
have to prompt that, make it more human-like, not the
Yeah.
AI generated.
Right. Right.
Yeah, I need some more scratches, and I need the film to look like it was actually taken from that time. That's incredible that it did that, and that
Yeah.
was literally what 5 minutes, 10 minutes.
Hmm.
So that's incredible.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, okay, here we go. I think that's gonna be the end today. Thank you so much, Satakshi and Jaime, for today. I had a
Thank you
great
for
time
having
with
me.
y'all today, and
Likewise.
that is a wrap for AI Talks episode 8. Please check us out on our LinkedIn, on our YouTube, and our TikTok, and our Instagram. We do have seminars every other Wednesday, I believe, and we're going to have podcast episodes coming out each week. Make sure to check us out on all of our social medias. And until then, I'll see you guys next week. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.